then totally. But there's very few people like with me. I personally like the combination systems. I'm like, obviously, I love my phone because I can do pretty much almost everything on my phone. It's like as much as I would love to have I do have a tablet, but I'm on my phone more than I am
No,
on
no,
my
no.
tablet,
Yeah,
to be
so and I
honest.
mean, yeah, my phone is definitely multi-purpose as well. It's the e-reader, it's a video entertainment system for
Hmm.
on the goes, podcast system to keep me entertained on the road, and of course, internet and Facebook
Hmm.
galore. And I just realized I didn't actually start pressing the record button. So the stream is cool, got
Okay,
everything,
that's fine. We could share
but
the
the
stream.
actual kind of if you're just joining us, folks, we were just editing this in.
Oh
Thank you
yeah,
for joining us
no
at a
worries.
Geek Bytes podcast, broadcast.com. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. But
Welcome.
that's the fun part about it because honestly, that's the other
Yeah.
comparison. Like right now, this device that we're using, a laptop or a tower system, it's almost a thing of the past, to be honest. Because a lot of people are semi-mobile, even though they still want to be connected to their electronics one way or another. Unless your job requires having to be, in a desk kind of deal. Like who really needs that? You just
Oh, you
literally
mean so
pop it
okay,
up and
so for
take it with you.
casual computer use, like,
Yeah,
yes, your phone definitely does the job, like yeah, most people have jobs, and a lot of them
but desk
a good
jobs, though.
majority of them require computers of some sort, so
Desk
I
jobs
don't know
mostly.
that the desktop computer is going away anytime soon, but you're right, I think it is supplemented by cell phones that are as smart as computers that are, not even, like, 5 years old.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I
even
mean?
now, if you go even to any almost retail store, any restaurant, their whole register system is pretty much done almost just
Yeah,
on
on
a
a tablet,
tablet,
yeah.
and then especially
Well, I think I always feel like tablets are essentially stupider laptops. I don't see them as being separate, especially since laptops can now be tablets as well. Like they can do dual purpose. So
yeah,
I don't differentiate those two portable computer systems that much.
yeah.
I would differentiate laptops, portable systems from tower PCs, which are just more um, affordable and more powerful, but not mobile, of course. So I hear what you're saying.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of other, on the go products, our next story involves one.
It's the 10th anniversary of the device, a decade since the bulky geometric first model took the reading public by storm. To celebrate, the company's launching of a new version of the Kindle Oasis, offering three huge upgrades to the Kindle experience. The new Oasis is waterproof, it plays audible audiobooks, and it has a large 7-inch screen. The new model costs only $250 for 8 gigs of storage, which should be plenty for the most hardware. A 2.5x listening audiobook lovers. If you need a decade of books all at once, the 32 gig model runs for $280. And for always on the cellular connectivity plus 32 gigs, it's only
So
$350.
an extra $100 basically for I don't know 3 times as much space
Mhm.
and always being connected to the internet. So if you want to download a book on the go, I guess instead of having to wait for a Wi-Fi connection somewhere.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
yeah, so I don't know that the Kindle system like these have changed that much. Like I remember getting the first model of the Kindle ebook reader, and this isn't that much different. I mean, yes, it's more powerful. Yes, it has a few better features, but
Mhm.
fundamentally, it just reads ebooks, and that's cool. And I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but at $350 price, I'm like, I could probably get an Oculus Rift for that.
Exactly, especially for the price that you'd be paying for pretty much a
Yeah,
upgraded
it is
LCD
waterproof though.
screen.
It is waterproof.
Like waterproof, you actually be
Yeah,
underwater.
you can take it into the tub. That was his other big feature of that's why it's called Oasis, is that it's actually waterproof and you can take it into the tub. So
See, with me, when I hear waterproof, there's water resistant. Like you could do a little splash and you'll be okay
no,
with
you
it.
can dunk it.
But if it dunks, then it's a
Yeah,
whole different story.
I guess. So you would pay the extra money for the waterproof feature. Like you go to the pool or you take tubs and
Oh yeah,
gas and rub
if
and
you're not gonna be that clumsy, because things
yeah.
happen,
Okay,
obviously,
yeah,
or if you go
yeah.
to the beach.
That's cool. I mean, those also read audiobooks. And Amazon is always a neat feature. Like they will sync your audiobook and your ebook versions. So like
Hmm.
if you listen to the audiobook in the car or whatever, and then you switch over to the ebook version, it'll automatically put you right back at that place where you left off. So a whisper sync is always a nice mode.
But I
But I
think
don't know if it's like 350 good, especially since I can
no.
essentially do the same thing for my phone.
No, exactly. I
And I'm like,
totally agree with you. For that price, oh yeah, go Rift. But if honestly, say $100 or less, because it's all you're doing is just reading,
mm,
just books. Just literally
yeah.
if there's not going to be no color
I mean,
pages,
I
no
will say that
nothing.
the ebook version is like easier on the eyes, but like I don't know if it's $350 easier on the eyes.
No, you could even get like what pretty much almost any generic basic tablet for about $40 or just slightly more.
Yeah, okay. Well, there
Um,
you go, folks. Exciting news from Kindle.
yeah.
Okay, next story. This is actually kind of cool. Some movie entertainment news. We've been looking forward to seeing a live action Gambit movie ever since it was announced by 20th Century Fox. Now, unfortunately, the film has had a slew of problems, including multiple script rewrites, loss of several directors. They've gone into other projects. And we recently learned that Gore Verbinski is set to direct the long in the works XMen spin-off movie. Deadline is now reporting that the movie finally has another release date. It is going to be set February 14th, 2019, so it'll be a Valentine's Day treat. Um,
For
yeah, and
everybody.
so I think this kind of works in lines with some of the other X-Men properties that Fox has done.
Which is kind of funny because Deadpool was released around the same
Right.
time
That's
during
what a lot of people are trying
Valentine's.
to compare it to because Deadpool was a surprise release like that particular day, like Valentine's Day was like, really Deadpool, and then it turned out that the film was sort of a
Awesome.
romantic movie,
Oh
and that
yeah,
was part of the
totally.
core concept. And so maybe they're trying to do something similar with Gambit. Maybe it's going to lead into that rogue romance kind of thing, or something similar, or they're just trying to play off Deadpool fame.
Danny Martinez, real quick, he mentioned about the little tablet earlier. Like, who doesn't take their device into the shower?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Danny Martinez. You can take this thing in the shower. You can have it play your music. It is going to have a Bluetooth connection, so you don't actually have to take unless you're like reading in the shower. Which, if you do, good for you, man.
My
People don't read enough.
my thing is depending on how your shower is, because unless you have like a nice glass wall kind of thing or whatever, I've seen the little hacks, if you will, where they put them like in a sandwich bag and just
Well,
seal it
with
and
this
just
one, you don't need to. That's kind of
yeah,
the point. It is waterproof, so you can basically just like put some suckers on the back of it, like hook it up to the wall,
yeah.
and just like tap, read, scrub,
Oh, totally.
tap, read next one, or have it read to you. I guess if it has that
Audio.
that feature of like um text to speech translation,
Oh, that's
or
cool.
just play the audio.
Yeah.
You could just have it set up with wireless speakers to your shower somewhere, and just
Now,
Bluetooth it and
in the
play the
showers,
audiobook version.
one thing. I'm so used to seeing like very like a romanticized version of somebody laying in a tub
Mm.
with candles and little
Oh yeah,
bubbly
yeah,
and that
Danny
kind of
Martinez. We are totally picturing you in a tub now with candles everywhere, just bubbles covering your naughty
fucking
bits,
sexy.
and just like Kindle e-reading and like listening to music at the same time, and
All right.
moonlighting.
Let me switch it back to Gambit without
Well,
being too much turned on so much and
I had to give
make
me a
things
minute.
awkward.
I have to go to the restroom.
All right.
Yeah.
But Gambit, yes. We'll talk about some other X-Men stories a little later, but from what I have seen, I can only imagine what this version is going to go. As much as I would love to see the classic 90s style costume with the little pink, holes in the gloves kind of thing, the trench coat and all that, I just see when they're going to go out. And my thing is, I want to see the villains.
Well, they
That's
did do something similar with like I forget if it's the Last X movie, or the one before, where they did show Gambit, and they had him in kind of a similar costume, if I recall correctly.
which one was this?
It was one of the Wolverines. I think it was like might have been Wolverine Origins.
Oh, he was in it. Yeah, I remember him, but he
Yeah, like
didn't.
Gambit.
Yeah, he had the staff,
Hmm.
did the cards, somewhat of a
I want
coat
to
and
say he
everything.
had the gloves at least. I don't
I
remember the
didn't
coat or
notice
anything.
gloves.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to do some weird version with Channing Tatum where he takes off his shirt at some point. I
He's
mean,
gonna be
you're paying
shirtless.
for that
Oh yeah,
product.
you're paying for
Yeah, yeah,
this.
absolutely. But like, the
It's
rumors
all
are
this.
that the script is going to be Ocean's 11 in the X Men universe, which I'm cool with. And I'm happy to see that it's finally getting released because that means it actually might be made. And Yolanda Ontiveros in the chat room is asking, "What did I just walk into?" Um,
Genos. Just dudes being
yeah,
dudes.
talking about discussion questions that the audience is
Yeah.
asking. It's okay. It's
Feel free
totally
to get
yeah,
in on it, talk about
totally
whatever, feels
scientific
like.
and
Yeah.
appropriate. We're discussing the merits of the waterproof Kindle,
Yeah.
and it just happens to delve into the shower scenes.
Yeah.
We can't help
Um
that.
my thing, like I said, I want to see the villains. Other X-Men villain characters that I can think that they haven't not used yet. Um I'm still waiting on Sinister.
Yeah, they talk about Mr. Sinister being inside the script for the Gambit movie,
Yeah.
which they haven't really used him very much. He was kind of a slight scene at the very end
Hmm.
of one of the more recent X Men movies,
Hmm.
and that was kind of it. It's expected that he's going to show up in the next one,
Hmm.
that the kind of rebooty one that they're doing. Um, but he is a good, cool villain.
Yeah, and of course, I mentioned it before. If you ever get to watch the old '90s X-Men cartoon series, there's a great kind of almost like a Gambit origin story about him, of course, being
And
raised
the
as a thief in
Thieves Guild, yeah, that's what
Louisiana,
this part of, yeah.
with whole dealing with paying for the tide and all that stuff. And we'll see how things go from there. But as soon as it comes out, definitely want to check it out. I think it's going to be awesome. I just say I want to see villains. There's plenty of heroes. There's plenty of heroes, but I think uh, yeah, villains are totally what make the movie. All right, so guys, let's talk about some other good stuff. We got some great new concept art for the Avengers 4 that have been released that includes new armor for Iron Man and the looks at Thor and Spider Man. So I don't know if you guys ever seen any of the little bootleg thing of the what do you call it, the uh, not Age of Apocalypse. What do you call it? The what's the new freaking Thanos movie? Damn it, I'm drawing a complete blank. It's the new Avengers.
Infinity Wars, or
Thank you,
oh, okay,
thank
that
you.
one, yeah.
I'm gonna name like every other series. I'm gonna say Secret Wars, this Wars, blah blah blah, Infinity Wars. But if you guys seen the trailer for the little bootleg version of the Infinity Wars, you kind of got a little bit of a glimpse of the Constants, but not really much action, depending how good of a quality. Unless you were the lucky ones, the very few lucky ones that got to see it at San Diego Comic Con or at the D23 this past year.
Yeah, no, these costumes are cool. I apologize for having to put away the pizza's grocery delivery.
Real world stuff,
Yeah,
man.
I know. I mean, yeah. It turns out if you use Instacart, they always don't get the things you want, and so we ordered. This is off topic now. We ordered like one of their like full pizzas, like all the toppings, and they ended up giving us like this really gross tasting chicken and onion pizza. And I'm like, that just seems really weird as a replacement. And
First
so
world problem.
yeah, I know it's odd. We've been trying out this grocery delivery service and it's been kind of cool. It's just that small snags, like them not seeing things in the aisles or like getting the exact thing you clicked
they,
on the website or whatever. So I'm like, okay,
they got the wrong bottle of Merlot
I
again.
can't believe these hacks.
Ugh.
I'm not giving you a $2 chip now. No,
Oh my god.
yeah. But these costumes definitely cool.
Mm.
I'm most excited probably about Spider-Man's costume in this particular picture scenes of
Mhm.
concept art because it shows the Iron Spider outfit. I'm like, oh, I'm always a big fan of like the
Eh,
tech versus.
you'd consider that the Iron Spider outfit?
Well, yeah, I mean, and compared to his old outfit, you can actually see the Iron Spider outfit in the end of the Spider-Man film when he's at the Avengers
You consider
headquarters.
that the Iron Spider
That's
outfit?
what it was supposed to be. Yeah, that was the one that's more teched out like Iron Man. It had even had like the extra like arm spiders on there.
Okay, maybe I haven't paid
Yeah.
attention to that part, but I was like, all right. One thing that I'm thinking about this image is, I'm sorry, everybody's gonna do this comparison because obviously I'm gonna be doing it. Iron Man looks so much like the Blue Beetle, like DC's Blue
Yeah,
Beetle.
it does
Only
actually.
difference
Absolutely.
is
With the arm extending out like that, absolutely. I
exactly
agree entirely.
the wings, if you
Um,
will, in the back.
our new Iron Man just
Yeah,
ripping off DC again.
like it's cool. It's cool. I dig it. But yeah, everybody's gonna do a Blue Beetle comparison to that, and I'm glad Mr. Chris Hemsworth is still rocking the short hair. For like
Is Iron Man
obviously,
carrying a knife here in one of these pictures? Like right here?
this like a side blade or whatever kind of thing coming out.
Iron Man getting all stabby. That's weird.
Why not? But yeah, obviously Ragnarok has not came out yet, but
Yeah,
obviously
that's the Thor from Ragnarok, correct?
because obviously he has the short hair. But you notice if you saw the trailer for Ragnarok, he kind of still obtains the thunder lightning powers, but obviously he's now rocking a
That's right.
hammer.
Thor
So we'll see
bring
how
in
it's
the
gonna.
thunder. And you know
Yeah,
actually in his hand down here, um, he actually has looks like it's something supposed to be in his hand.
but they just kind
That
of
they
like,
kind of airbrushed it out
yeah,
possibly. Like,
like
is he gonna get his
don't
hammer
show
back?
him that you
Or is it going
won.
to be a sword? But it'll definitely look like he's meant to be holding something in this picture.
Yeah, and of course Thanos himself. That's his like
It looks like
pre-armored out.
default Thanos, yeah.
Yeah, before the upgrades and all that.
But it is the full on gauntlet with all the gems. So
Oh yeah,
spoilers.
yeah. But with me with Spider Man, I was thinking Iron Spider, like the all red, yellow eyes, kind of the with the yellow spider insignia from like the comic versions. Those are the ones that I was expecting. It was like the golden
Well, they don't
red.
want to go too far off of like script with it, like his second appearance, basically, or third appearance. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
You want to keep to
M-
brand at least.
Marketable
Just
still.
change it just enough so they can put it in toy.
Tweak it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. Okay, so next story, let's see. Oh, this one was unfortunate. for the animated world, I guess. Um, Disney's actually canceling an animation project that they
What?
actually have already put, like they've already invested money in. Disney is actually canceling the movie called Gigantic or Gigantic, if you're going with the actual storyline. But it's supposed to be Disney's take on Jack the Beanstalk. Uh, Set in Spain during the Age of Exploration, the film was to follow the story of Jack, who discovers a world of giants hidden within the clouds. In this version of the classic fairy tale, Jack befriends an 11-year-old, 60-foot tall female giant named Inma, described at D23 Expo as fiery, feisty, and a lot of control, well, to control rather, Irma treats Jack like a living doll. We also knew that the story's antagonists were to be 120-foot tall storm giants. So her parents, bullies, I don't know. But the entire project was actually canceled and shelved. And this isn't just them putting it off. Like they'd already invested time in developing storylines. Like the animation takes years to get done. So they'd already probably started on pre-production, storyboard art, maybe some pre like artwork and like animation stuff. But it's just odd that they would cancel it. Like, why do you think they would have speculatively canceled it, man?
Something bigger, or it became a little too pricey. My There's very been a few times where something would just literally get shelved because
Yeah,
honestly, when like you said, it takes years for any kind of animated thing that's going to come out. Like even as right now, as we speak, they got all these other stories that we haven't released. Obviously, especially if you've been to 20 D23, you know for a fact. Obviously, the last Cars movie just came out already.
yeah,
There is the Incredibles 2, the
it's
sequel that
coming up.
everybody waited years for.
Decades.
Uh, Coco is going to come out later on in November.
Yep, that one I
Uh,
don't know that it's gonna do great, but because it seems like a very selective audience for that one. But go on.
let's see what else. The Dory came out obviously this year. There's something else I could
There's
think
a whole
of.
huge slate of stuff that they put out, like pictures of like all the things they plan to do for like the next 3 or 4 years,
Mhm.
and those were a few of them. I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, maybe something bigger just came along.
My thing is if other than putting some sub projects on the side or want to focus more, obviously in the next coming year. So I forgot what was the release date for the opening for Star Wars Land. I think that's going to be the big push because Star Wars is coming out this year, in December. Oh, there you go. There, I can't forget about the live action Tim Burton movies
Yep,
of
Wreck-It Ralph 2 is coming out
Wreck-It Ralph,
2018. The Incredibles
Dumbo,
2 canceled now. There it is in
yeah,
2018. Dumbo live action.
Toy
That's the
Story
Tim Burton
4.
one.
That's the one that I forgot. The
Lion King
live
2,
action Lion King.
Frozen 2 is coming out as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's just in the next 2 years. So lots of other stuff. I get sure maybe they don't want to invest in this when they already have two other titles coming out.
Oh yeah, and they're hopefully with any luck. That's the kind of the part of the gamble. Sequels. It's always kind of been hit and miss. It's either gone horribly, miserably because they're always the comparison like, oh, the first one was better than the second one.
Yeah, honestly that storyline didn't seem cool. I mean, it's hard to make toys out of an 11-year-old kid. So maybe just like the marketing aspect of it wouldn't have been as cool.
Well, obviously, you had to have the small little figure being, the quote unquote normal
Yeah,
size
there's
guy,
also like
the
how do you
bigger,
turn her
gigantic.
into a princess? How do you like spin it off into like an entire merchandising section? You know what I mean?
Because that's what Disney does.
Yeah,
If they can
and
make money
that's
off
part
of
of
it,
their
that's going to be the
decisions.
tough part.
So now speaking of things that are changing in the world, we actually have a story about the change in the Halloween universe. That's you.
All right. Shortly after it was announced that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride were going to make a new Halloween film, McBride came out and said that the mythology would be focusing mainly on the first two movies and what that sets up, and then they were the story they could go from there. That would make sense because those first two films cover a complete story arc. It seems like their plans may have changed, though in regards to that excuse me, though in regards to that, during a recent Q&A session with Stereo Gum, creator and producer John Carpenter says that the new Halloween movie will only acknowledge the first movie. And I'm really interested in seeing how this movie turns out. Jamie Lee Curtis will be back as to reprise her role as Laurie Strode, and Judy Greer has been cast in the role of her daughter, which will make an interesting dynamic. The Halloween sequel will be released in theaters in October 19th, 2018.
Yeah, so we have 1 year to actually get this thing into production and put out. It's literally a year from now. And I think it's a really interesting move to ignore all the sequels and just go back to the first film. You don't see very many reboots of everything except the first film, and I think it's partially because Jamie Lee Curtis accepted the role. And I think that's the big, deciding factor. Like, oh, we're just going to ignore that stuff. Um, this guy's not going to be a supernatural character anymore. He's just going to be a murderer, which is what it kind of changed with the character later on in the series. Um, and I'm curious to see how they're going to weave that storyline around. Like, well, didn't he? I can't remember. Did he die in the first film? Like every monster of these films dies,
Yeah, they get somehow
and then they're
destroyed, but
reborn or whatever. Yeah,
then you go, the whole supernaturalness is what brings them back. Very few times has actually been like a legit person, because when you kill a legit person, they
there are
stay dead.
issues. Yeah,
But very few times that the villain will literally be beheaded, disemboweled, burned to a crisp, but will still somehow, that heartbeat will still kick once again and bring him back
yeah. There's usually like a hand coming up out of something, and
from a tomb, or that awkward eye open at the end, because they pan over and you see that
the one I liked the
guy's
best was
dead.
when Freddy Krueger died in one of the films, and like they burned his body and like spread out the ashes, and the beginning of the next film, all the ashes just come back together to form him. I'm like, okay,
It's
that's
like
I
a
mean
symbiote
they
or
really
something.
went out of their way to like say Freddy's dead, like chopped him up, burnt him into
Hmm.
nothingness, but and he still comes back. Like okay, whatever.
Evil cannot be
They
contained.
can't be contained by
But
mere
I
destruction.
were you a fan of any individual like horror movie at all? I don't know if you were much of a horror
Um,
movie guy.
I'm not now. I wasn't then. But the ones that I was able to sneak past my parents were definitely the Freddy Krueger films. Maybe some Chucky. Most of the other ones were like, no, they're a little too boring. Like they weren't fantastical enough. I mean, Mike Myers is fine as just a general serial killer. But in the slate of like supernatural, like really creepy, cool sci-fi effects,
Hmm.
like he was never like the guy. You know what I mean? Like definitely for me, the Freddy Krueger special effects were always like the most fantastic and the
Oh
most
yeah.
like weird and out of because they took place in people's dreams, and so there's also
Oh,
the
your
aspect
imagination just could go nuts.
of like oh turning on their worst fears. I'm like oh that's definitely horrible to me.
Oh yeah, definitely a play on the human mind, definitely. But I always just hated the genre of like, especially the person is usually a girl, always trying to escape from the killer, always winds up slipping or tripping, and just the
Like
circumstances are
just
like,
watch where
really.
you're running.
Especially
Really.
if a guy is a killer, then he's a legit killer. Well, you killed the killer, and then that's it, the end. But that would make a horrible movie.
Yeah,
But
we're not great horror movie writers apparently because we would just murder the villain and then
the end.
the end.
Yeah,
Short film,
exactly.
it's just it takes place in Texas. Everyone just shoots him, and
Oh, pretty much
there's the end, folks.
exactly.
Okay, but it's interesting that they're taking that direction with film. Next story, more horror. Apparently, it's October. Let's not be surprised here. Paramount Studios has launched a development project for Dracula, actually a prequel to Dracula, and it's attached the director to it. Director Andy Muschietti. Paramount won the action for the prequel. It is actually being written by Darka Stoker and J.D. Barker in the Bram Stoker estate's first authorized prequel. Darka Stoker is apparently the great grandson of Bram Stoker, who is the original
Oh,
writer for the novel Dracula, which was written in 1897. Dracula is one of those films, this particular book, Bram Stoker's Dracula, that kind of set the tone for horror films and horror novels forever. Like that the concept of a supernatural being essentially not being able to kill but also terrorizing the citizens was born here in that particular mythos and in this novelization version of it. um, and so this is always been a core part of horror genres origin story. And Bram Stoker's Dracula as a film was definitely one of the better films in my opinion because it set historical precedents. It also had a time period piece, so it wasn't just the horror itself. It was also the the creation of such a monster. Because everybody knows Dracula's story, but this was an interesting way to bring it to life on the film. And so this being an authorized prequel kind of gives it some gravitas.
who was the name of the writer? I think the creator of the Interview with Vampires, and Anne Rice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Anne Rice, her version, and of course Bram Stoker's. To me, it always kind of like romanticizes the concept of like the vampire of Dracula.
Not so much Dracula, but like the Bram Stoker definitely.
Yeah,
I mean
because it
the Anne Rice version.
Yeah, because then it always connected to me when I was playing like Castlevania, because it seemed all connected. Because then they made, instead of the vampire being the like cool guy in a tuxedo with a cape and the Bela Lugosi, which A lot of people say he never said blah blah blah, but everybody kind of jokes about that. Um, it made him more like sophisticated. It wasn't necessarily like a killer or somewhere dark. I always thought the Van Helsing was almost like a prequel to
Yeah,
to
this is
Bram
where Van
Stoker's.
Helsing comes out as. He's Professor Abraham Van Helsing
Hmm.
is the guy who leads the group of men to kill Dracula
Oh,
in this novel. And in the prequel film script, it's actually going to be set in 1868, where 21-year-old Bram Stoker is met with meets an ungodly evil that traps him in an ancient tower, and he scribbles down the events that led him. So it's instead going to be Interview with the Vampire. Only Bram Stoker is the guy who's
Bram
interviewing
Stoker's interview
the
with the
vampire
vampire.
of Dracula, basically. So it's maybe not the most original script, but it is an interesting take on the Dracula concept because, oh, where did Bram Stoker get his idea for Dracula? Well, what if he actually met a real vampire?
Be a funky crossover. It'd be like Keanu Reeves with Brad Pitt
Yeah.
or Tom Cruise.
I would be interested to see who they get for the vampire. Like maybe get Tom Cruise or somebody who's like older from Interview with the Vampire, and they can play the vampire again because they're like eternally young, and
Oh yeah, no,
that would be like a cool like nod to both intellectual properties.
totally. They obviously have the technology, so they could always smooth out those wrinkles
They
and
have the
whatnot.
technology.
So,
Photoshop is real.
oh
We can
yeah,
make them look better, younger, stronger.
I, I, well, the only thing purple people that I could say that's in quote unquote young Hollywood is probably I don't know. Ryan Gosling's kind of up there in age. Obviously, Channing Tatum, they got for Gambit. He can
I
he
would
get
hope
out
they wouldn't
right.
get Channing Tatum for something like this. I mean, this not that Channing Tatum's a bad actor and he's very funny, but he's definitely not the caliber, I would say, of like the original Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like there are some big name people in there and some great acting. And it was. Have you ever seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Oh yeah,
Okay, then I'm like, yeah, it's a really good film, but it's also very dramatic and it's very
yeah.
serious, and it's not. Um,
So John Cena.
Nobody needs to take off their shirt. So
So John Cena or The Rock. We got to put
yeah,
some wrestlers in it. I'll check it out either way because as long as they don't get Mr. Sparkly from the Twilight flicks, I think it'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
all
there
right.
have some very interesting evolutions of vampires
Mm.
over the years. So it is what it is. Okay, next story is going to be for you. This one's yours.
Yeah, nearly 15 years after the extraterrestrials left Roswell, the CW is ready to reboot the sci fi series with a more locally alien twist. According to The Hollywood Reporter, author, writer, and producer Karina Mackenzie from the originals is giving Roswell a modern spin by making a new lead heroine, the daughter of the undocumented immigrants. As it turns out, her teenage crush is a police officer who is hiding his alien heritage from the people around him. Once the young woman discovers his secret, they become intertangled with a government cover up of aliens on Earth and find their connection threatened by the politics of fear and hatred.
Yep. So there you go, folks. I just love this picture that I made. Just
So,
the original Roswell cast with a bunch of sombreros and Mexican mustaches, because
Serapis,
they're that's it.
oh my
That's
god.
basically what they're doing here. They're just taking the alien, as in like alien immigrant from another country, and combining it with aliens from space. And so they're supposed to be like some. Oh, we're connected. We're both not from here originally. We're both aliens, man. So that's why we fall in love.
But I got a card.
Yeah.
Like, I got a
And that's
card.
it's
I'm good.
that's the alien. That's the one
Exactly.
from space. He's like, "Yeah, we just printed this up. It's really not that
Exactly.
hard to
Oh,
recreate
okay.
these with alien
You
technology."
could put up your wall. Fuck you. I got a
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, my spaceship just whoop.
Exactly.
So, whatever.
Oh man, my thing is, I always like to see other countries' versions of genres. Like, I think there's only been like one or two literally Mexican films that had a sci-fi. It was more of a futuristic concept on it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was something I was on Netflix and I was just scrolling. I'm like, made in Mexico. I'm a future alternative, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh. And actually, they did a pretty well done film. The only bad thing with me was like the storyline was kind of funky, but it was just a whole like a weird alternative to come on. It was very much like Minority Report, but in Mexico.
Oh, a
Honestly, I mean
different
that's legit.
it's a different kind of minority
Yeah,
and a
tacos
different
in space.
and a different kind of report.
Yeah, because like I would love to see other countries' version. I like to see a alternative future thing, and the closest thing we're going to get to is like with Africa, what of course will be like Black Panther once that comes out.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's not exactly a Canadian space movie. There's not going to be like a
Not yet. I hear Kevin
Brit-
Smith is developing some interesting things though.
oh yeah, but I'll check it out. It's gonna be funky, but no, don't get me wrong. Love my peoples because they're my peoples. But I don't feel like space genre should be just for obviously a specific ethnicity because obviously space is literally the United Nations of the galaxy.
Well,
So
you'd hope. I mean, I always like the Star Trek universe of like aliens. Like, yes, there's a ton of different species, but at some point, there's a collection of like people just cooperating for the benefit of the universe and for that
yeah,
group. And then there's some douches
yeah, the
that you got to fight. Yeah.
self-segregating, yeah, d bags that are full of themselves are like, oh no, we're the chosen people, if you will, blah blah
Yes.
blah. Make space great again,
But I kind of was like the idea of like, oh, maybe someday we'll all be united, at least as a human species,
Hmm.
when we're finally faced with other beings in the universe. So
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, next story, also another supernatural event. Um, Constantine. Constantine was actually a wonderful television show that talked about essentially a supernatural Batman, who's not as rich. He's a detective. He deals with supernatural threats and he uses magic. So one of the very few like gritty detective magic user kind of storylines out of DC, and it a really short-lived, I think, one-season show, and I enjoyed it, but it got canceled. But hope we're going to be able to get him back in true forms. One is in the animated series that's coming to the CW, but also he's going to be doing I think, a two-episode arc on Legends of Tomorrow, and it's going to be the exact same actor from the television show. So good on him for keeping up with that particular role. And apparently, they're also going to let him smoke and drink and be bisexual. So
Because I
yeah,
gotta admit that character, I did see the Keanu Reeves movie version. That whole genre
that
was
was
kind
horrible.
of just you didn't like it?
I did not enjoy seeing Keanu Reeves as John Constantine, especially since they didn't have the same character. It was set like in this post-apocalyptic future, and I'm like, that doesn't fit what the comics are at all, or at least to me.
See, that I kind of got over. Like, it's Keanu, whatever. In my mind, I'm thinking Matrix. I'm
I'm
thinking
like,
everything
thanks,
else.
Neo. You did you port into a different game, Neo? Is that what this is?
Exactly. So it's hard to, I wish they did get somebody completely different. I would, appreciate a lot
Yeah, this
more.
guy definitely looks at least like John Constantine from the comics. I
Yeah,
mean,
my biggest turnoff in the movie version was Shia LaBeouf. That was the biggest killer. I surpassed seeing Neo, Mr. Keanu Reeves playing Constantine, but I did love seeing the Constantine version in the Arrowverse. I like that version. The animated version was cool too. I did see the what was it, the Dark Justice League movie. Him and that was awesome. I can't wait
yeah,
for this new animated.
he's doing the voice for all the Constantine properties,
Yeah.
including the animated series and also the one that you're talking about, the Dark Justice League.
Mhm.
The same actor is doing John Constantine. So at
Yeah.
least at least he's getting steady work with the character. I'm like, I can't fault the guy for wanting to keep the role.
Honestly, especially with hope later down in the future how things are going to go in with Disney becoming its own little independent app service via like Netflix.
Yeah.
If they do take all their Marvel titles or whatever with them in Netflix, you got a whole DC universe to work with. So I would love to see a Constantine TV series on Netflix exclusive, the way they did with
Like I say,
Jessica
you're
Jones,
saying
Dart.
Netflix is losing Marvel stuff, so they might grab some DC stuff instead. Is that what you
Why
mean?
not?
Okay. Yeah, I
Do
get
it,
that.
man. Like,
Yeah, like Netflix doesn't have any loyal. Marvel's going to be an ex girlfriend pretty soon, so they'll have to deal with it.
get over it.
Yeah, we're going to get over one superhero properties to get under another one. There you
Exactly.
go. That's what they always say in the comics.
Yeah.
Just
Just
ask Wolverine.
wrap it up.
Yep. Okay. Next story. McDonald's Swash sauce.
Yeah. If you guys are fans of Rick and Morty, McDonald's Schwan sauce, which was a limited edition condiment tied to the release of Disney's Mulan in 1998, has seen its profile rise thanks to Rick and Morty. The Adult Swim series featured a digression in the season 3 premiere built around the dipping sauce, which McDonald's then promised to bring back this weekend. The only problem, demanded rocketed past excuse me, demand rocketed past supply, leaving many Rick and Morty fans outraged, proclaiming that it was a make this right. McDonald's pledged the dipping sauce would return in the winter in a greater quantity than before. We're bringing more, a lot more. so that any fan who's willing to do whatever it takes for the Schwan sauce will only have to ask for it in a nearby McDonald's, the
Yeah.
company said.
Yeah, this was kind of a they didn't realize how many people loved Rick and Morty apparently.
Or the
Because this
sauce.
yeah, well, not the sauce as much, I think. Because Rick and Morty really played up as being like this was the whole point of the show for him to get the Schwarzen sauce, and
Mhm,
it's a joke in the show,
mhm.
but it's also an element of like, oh, we don't really know what the point of this show is, and so we're kind of giving it like this fake thing. And it was like a big part of like the season, like yeah,
On
you
the
watch the
show,
show,
the gimmick.
but it's a gimmick, but it's also like there's a ton of fans, and, like, people literally lined up, like, 3 hours before the stores open around the block to get, like, packets, and they only had so many, and so most of those people went away rather unhappy, and then they were resold online for, like, 20, 30, $40 per packet, per little square,
Wow.
and that's in addition to what was sold before they decided to bring this back, like, a whole bottle of the stuff was sold for, like, $15,000 on eBay.
Was it bought for
Yeah,
$15,000?
somebody actually bought it, and it wasn't
Wow.
just somebody literally purchased a big bottle of the stuff for 15 grand. And so there are those people. And so McDonald's like, okay, we didn't realize this. People were mad. And so we'll do it again in the winter because we like your money and we'll try to do better. And that's what it
Oh,
came
yeah.
down to. But it makes sense in a world of Rick and Morty, this kind of disaster special promotion event totally makes sense. I could totally see,
It's showing
yeah,
how
that
much of
happening.
a cult following, and it literally sounds like a cult.
It
When
sort of
when your
sounds like an episode of Rick and Morty.
yeah, when your leader tells you it's all about the Schwan sauce, oh, it's all about the Schwan sauce. But, did you ever try it? Because like, I
No.
barely even know it
I wasn't
existed.
gonna stay up, stand in line for an hour to get
No, no, no,
a
I
cup
mean,
of
like,
sauce
even when it came out in the
for
90s.
Mulan, no.
Yeah, I
I've heard
know
people describe it as, like, being really sweet, um, and, and that's kind of it, but
like a honey mustard kind of thing, or Dijon,
I don't know,
or
they're supposed to be for Mulan, and so I'd assume
for
it'd
egg
have some
rolls at the time,
Asian flavor, soy sauce filled with it.
sriracha with the honey in it.
I don't know, I think maybe that's part of the mystery, like, people don't remember it. Like, there are
Yeah.
plenty of people who just weren't alive when Mulan came out, and so they don't have any recollection
Oh, yeah, for these
of this
current
occurring.
oh, yeah, for these new kids. But, like, even no, I remember the toys, I remember the
Mhm.
movies,
I remember the
obviously, but
promotion and stuff, this just wasn't a big deal, obviously.
yeah,
But Rick and Morty makes it back, and they're trendsetters.
yeah.
Go
They should do
pretty
something
good
like
for an
for
animated film.
hey, how about going for, like, world peace or getting over all this drama and stuff like that? Use your power for greater, Rick and Morty.
No, hey, McDonald's like saw something and they ran with it. Like this show seems like it's popular. Let's do a thing.
Eh,
And they didn't realize exactly how much of a thing it was.
yeah, because other than which is kinda weird, it's like considering it a seasonal food,
Yeah,
like McDonald's McRib.
like the
It
McRib makes
it
sense. Comes
comes
in and
in
out.
like, I like the joke in The Simpsons where, like, their version was called the Rib Witch, and the whole thing is all like, "Oh, the Rib Witch is going away because the animal that we made it from, it's
It's
going
extinct.
extinct." Like, what is it, a cow? No, you gotta think a lot smaller, more legs.
Well, they have a lot of
So
ribs. You need legs. That makes sense.
exactly.
Okay, and that's it for most of the show. We have the movie trailer showdown, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
We have 4 trailers that came out this week that we thought were amazing. 4 trailers enter, only one wins. Here we go. We begin with the New Mutants. Have you seen these trailers this week?
Yes, I
You
did.
did see
Yes,
them.
I
Okay.
did. That's my thing. I'm notorious for not watching them because I am exhausted
He has
eventually.
many work hours that
Yeah,
night.
but I've seen all 4. They are all amazing. For New Mutants, oh my god,
This was a weird twist because
oh my
it
god,
turned out
it's
to
so good.
when you think mutants, you think superhero powers.
Pew pew
Yeah, yeah,
splash.
fight the aliens kind of
Mm.
thing, or fight the bad guys. And this turned into like a horror movie
It was done
version of it.
so
And I'm like,
well.
this isn't exciting for me, but like I get that it's new and different. And I feel like they're trying to go for a Stranger Things kind of vibe
Yeah,
with their kids in this.
yeah. It
I'm not sure where it's gonna go. My hypothesis that this entire thing is in somebody's mind.
Yeah, because that's the thing with especially the psychological thrillers. It literally was a mind game, and I always feel like who else would be the better of the mind games than a person that could actually manipulate your mind.
Yeah, I feel this entire hospital is the creation of some evil supervillain or something.
Yeah,
Or possibly, I guess the other turnaround is that they're all personalities of one mutant.
yeah, because it reminds me so much of like oh god, no, I drew a blank. Getting mesmerized by it. It makes me want to watch like all the other movies again because in my mind now I feel like every horror movie is mutant related now.
Freddy Krueger's just an
Obviously,
angsty teen mutant.
pretty much think of it, the extended metal claws, the healing factor, bringing her back, the
He
projectile. Oh
lives
yeah,
immortal. Yeah, yeah.
the enhanced strength for Michael Myers, and of course Jason and all that. Oh man, how can they not be
See,
mutants?
there you go, folks. In the
Yeah.
world of superheroes, we have our villains.
Oh
You
yeah,
just
but
didn't realize it. Okay, so that one was there. Also came out this week is, of course, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Who has not seen this trailer? This is
I don't.
absolutely hands down amazing. I mean, people have are analyzing every
Oh,
single
scene
frame
frame. Oh gosh,
of
yeah.
this film for as many spoilers as they can get, and it is pretty awesome.
No, the only thing I gotta admit though, it maybe because it didn't have as much as a nostalgic feeling as when the
Force
Force Awakens
Awakens,
comes out,
yeah.
because everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful!"
On
But
this one, I think Luke Skywalker is going to say something, so I would be more excited for this.
my thing is, I have a friend of mine that his name's Bagnazi. He noticed that at
Wait,
a
his
certain
name is
Ben
Benghazi.
Benghazi,
Oh, okay, Ben.
but
See,
Vagnosi,
hey, I was
depending on
just
how you
wondering, like,
pronounce it.
you're friends with Benghazi? I'm
Oh,
like,
totally.
man,
We're cool. We go way back.
whoa,
Um, but anyways, he noticed that at the theater, you know how they have the promotional posters,
yeah,
those big cardboard thingies. They have the cardboard thingy display, but on display, of course, they got the dark side, the Sith ish people. The what was it called now? The Order. I
yeah,
think
it was
it's
the
the
First Order.
Order, First Order, and then of course you got your Jedi good guys and whatnot on the other side. But the thing on both sides of the poster had both Luke on each side. So it looks like it had like the dark side Luke and of course Jedi side Luke.
Oh, so you think the
So
storyline's going to bring in dark side Luke, like the
like
Luke that went to the dark side eventually?
yeah, he had to like tamper with it and all that kind
Well,
of
no,
stuff to get a feel.
in the storyline, in the stories that aren't a part of this universe anymore, um, Luke went to the dark side briefly in like the
Exactly.
novelization version of this universe. I mean, there's literally 30, 40, 50 books, set in the Star Wars universe that are no longer technically valid.
Hmm.
But part of that storyline was that Luke went to the dark side and then he came back more powerful. And then, but that was part of his exploration of both the light and the dark side. And so it just kind of makes sense that this would be here. And they, at the end of the trailer, they do sort of imply that one, she, Ray, has that same dark side test, but also that she is tempted by, Emperor
Yeah.
Snook and also by the other douchebag. I mean, the other guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, anything you like or didn't like about the
Yeah,
trailer?
this was like a bad cutscene, but, like, I don't think this is actually them. I mean, that's actually what Kevin said, "I'm a director." That's not the same
Yeah.
scenes. They're messing with us.
My thing is,
The implication is there.
they're trying to cash in on the what's it called, the Pog thing that looks like a combination like
Oh, you
gerbil,
mean that weird looking thing?
penguin. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they're cashing in on that, and I was just like, all right,
Look,
whatever.
you guys, you need plushie toys to sell. I get it. I don't have an issue with it.
I just love
Some people
seeing.
have like a horrible reminiscence, like remembrance of like, oh, the Ewoks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they were originally supposed to be Wookiees on that planet,
Yeah,
but then like, no, no, let's do some marketing. We'll
exactly.
shrink them down to small
Like
Wookiee
teddy
size,
bears, we
and
could
yeah,
sell
they're
them.
they're cute teddy bears, and it worked. But they also like some people feel like it ruined the film.
I just love seeing Phasma actually now,
Doing
she's gonna be
something.
in action.
Yeah, yeah, that's always
Now,
cool.
Stranger Things
Third
2,
trailer, yeah. Season 2,
they
this coming out this month. I'm looking forward to it. It's literally less than like I think 10, 12 days.
mhm.
Um, this looks amazing. A big fan of Stranger Things season 1. I'm happy to see it come back. And I'm hoping for more nostalgia, scary action.
Oh yeah, I was surprised it took off. Honestly, I heard of Stranger Things. With me, I'm always late on the bandwagon kind of deal. So I'm all like, I don't know what the whole concept was, or the whole
But
shebang, or the
eventually you
whole.
saw it, right?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
eventually saw the whole thing. So it was really good. What was her name? 11. Yeah, we're wondering how where 11's gonna take off, if she's gonna eventually. Obviously the kids are a little older, but they haven't aged like progression.
No,
It
no.
hasn't been like
I
10
think
years.
one of the kids like had a serious growth spurt,
Oh
but
yeah,
other than that, I
but
think most of them are okay.
yeah, it wasn't like Stranger Things 10 years later kind of deal.
And then one of them is like, "Oh, you think this is scary? You should see my other movie, the town I came from. There was this creepy clown in the
Oh yeah,
sewers.
yeah, yeah.
Let's not go there."
My thing is like I'm going to the point where their voices start cracking and like, hey guys,
Yeah,
But it was good. My thing that got it amazed is obviously they had the licensing to use like Michael Jackson's Thriller.
which was the
Well,
Costa bundle.
oh god,
Yeah.
ridiculous amount. Even though the guy's not around, somebody's getting
No,
paid for that.
the estate is definitely
Oh yeah.
making a penny.
So it's gonna be. I definitely loved, especially when I first saw them wear the Ghostbusters outfit. Did it come
Yeah, that
around
was
that
definitely
era?
cool, yeah.
That came out of
It's
that
very
era.
cute. I like that reference of, like, who
Mm.
you gonna call. A
Yeah,
bunch of kids apparently,
exactly.
like little Scooby Doo gang. And our last trailer is Blockers.
No, it's just funny because like they totally want to call it cock blockers, but I
Yeah,
guess they're not allowed to because they in
how weird.
their poster is literally a big rooster. And it just is a silhouette of a rooster, and it says blockers,
Yeah, yeah.
which it's totally cock
Which is
blockers.
what they're supposed to. I mean, they say the words inside the actual film,
Uh huh.
but promotional wise, I guess people don't respond well to genitalia references.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach and Miri Make a Porno is a perfect example. They couldn't market the porno part. They
With
called
a
up
Zach and
on
Mary.
many of the like posters and like the awards, Zach and Miri, and that was it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, that's not quite accurate. But yeah, there's definitely a story about
Girls.
girls with a sex pact instead of dudes, and the story focuses on their parents trying to stop them from having sex after prom. And I think it's a very interesting commentary on the double standard between guys and girls when they're at this age. Like,
Girls get horny too.
yeah, what we think of as perfect for dude teenagers. Like, yeah, man, you finally got some. For ladies, like, no, you must protect that hole forever until you're
Exactly.
married. And there is definitely a double standard as far as like oversight, guidelines for kids.
Yeah. The funny thing is the take on John Cena. You know,
Yes.
Ozzy, he
The
is always going to be
overprotective parent, yeah.
yeah, he's always going to be a big bulky dude. Where you can't really fake that, but it's a different route instead of getting like forwarding like generic parents and everything. But it still almost feels like white people problems because there's nothing but white people in it.
I
Um,
know, there's some brown people. There's one brown lady.
I think one's adopted though, but
No, no, I think her mom is.
I gotta admit though, some parts of the big funny. It's obviously not going to be your PG-13
See,
or PG.
there's the
Yeah,
mom.
it's not going to be your PG. Wrestling John Cena. You're gonna hear him curse. You're gonna hear all the sex references and all that stuff. If you actually seen any of his other things, like in God, what was it? The Amy Schumer movie, the Train Spot, not Train Spotting,
Train
Train
wreck?
Wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Train Wreck. He was also in that one House Party one with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. I forgot what was the name of that one, but he was in that
No,
too.
he's
And
funny, and it's a very interesting role for him.
yeah,
He's more than happy to take on the comedic fool role, and it, it's a nice film.
yeah,
It's a nice film, but it's very even the trailer's funny.
yeah,
I'm just hoping that they're not ruining all the best jokes in the trailer, which sometimes happen
yes,
with these movies. Is that they tell you all the good jokes up front. I'm like, oh, when you go in, like, oh, I've seen and heard these.
yeah.
So
Because this is more focusing on the parents stopping the kids and instead of about
right.
the kids. So
Right, it's basically, what are the parents doing during all these sex rom movies, and this is
mhm.
it. So of these 4 trailers, man, we got 4 trailers, which one would you say you enjoyed the best?
Okay, Jedi for sure, but
Yeah, I
I
think
gotta
both of us like, Jedi is kinda wins by default.
Jedi for sure, but the New Mutants is actually really grabbing my attention though.
Oh, see, I was gonna go for Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I mean, Mutants is cool, I'm just not into horror, so,
It's not in the
um
horror. I love the mutants. I love the X-Men universe, but to make it like a
I'm
very
also not
suspensive.
seeing many of their powers. I'm like, are those scary things from powers, or are they just in someone's head? I'm like, maybe if I see another trailer, like I see them actually doing something
Yeah,
individually, I'm like, okay. But for now, Star Wars definitely wins for both of us. Second place for you is Newtons, and for me, Stranger Things.
yeah,
I will get to see mine first,
yeah.
so I think that's a plus.
Blockers, I definitely want to see because
Yeah, yeah,
there's the jokes in it.
and I'm more likely to watch just like random films now. Now that I have that nice little movie pass
Mhm.
card, where you pay $10 a month and you
Way
get
to
to see
promote, man.
unlimited
Plug.
movies every day. Now, if you want to help support the podcast,
Yeah, mm,
no, we'll get to that in a second. But
yeah,
that's it for the
but
show, folks. We're kind of done. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to support the podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can do so at.
do it at geekbytespodcast.com/support.
Yep. But thanks for hanging out with us for Geek Bass Podcast. I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, to go geek out about something.
You'll get it right.
It's the other one. I keep forgetting which buttons I've assigned.
Should you have a second board with the buttons on it, or label these top is lid,